Yeah, yeah, I would say so. Yeah, it's kind of like a walking on the runway. Um, but she goes on to say that all the characters in the game actually look like they're walking down a runway as opposed to walking into battle, walking down a crowded street corner, and how typical women don't walk that way. There's a lot of I've heard a lot of arguments specifically talking about this that they don't believe it's as exaggerated as she's claiming. And judging by the video, I would say that it has to be exaggerated somewhat. And after being a personal connoisseur of staring at women as they walk past, yes, I am a man. I've admitted to staring at a woman's butt as she's walked past. I apologize if that offends anybody. Actually, I don't apologize. It's just me. I'm sorry. No, I'm not. But it happens. And I wouldn't say that typically women walk with such an exaggerated sway. That's probably not what you're typically going to see in real life. So just off of those examples, we see that it's very different. It's very, very different for men and women. Masters being masked. Yeah, it is me. You know, I can only... I like butts too. I would... Yeah. It happens, you know. We look and we see and we see things that we like and we take a gander. And just... This is what it is. It happens. Okay, so I brought up another picture here for you guys that I want to show you. So here's some more examples of how, like, women are often portrayed. Here's the Spider-Woman pose that was released in Marvel Comics I think it was like a couple years back, where they wanted to do a exposition or like a variant cover for a Spider-Woman comic. And right here, you're seeing Spider-Woman posed in such a way that it's very, very much so overtly sexualized. So you'll see her crouch down on the ground, kind of crawling along it. Her hips, her abdomen is lower to the ground, and her rear end is flexed higher into the air with her arched back. So an example of over-sexualization of a female character. An argument could be made for this, saying that they also go on to say that the way her outfit clings to her butt is unrealistic, that there is no fabric in the world that would hug your butt in such a manner that it would make it look like that. So that was another example, and I collected a couple of them. So, and then we have, of course, Tracer. I'm not sure if you guys have heard about the controversy surrounding Tracer, but she is a character in the Overwatch game that came out that specifically was accused of being over-sexualized. And this recently caught a lot of attention because Overwatch, being a popular game, being one of Blizzard's, I think, like one of their newer kind of flagships that they're putting out there, and game productions, they allege that this pose was far too sexual for this character. They were making the claim that a lot of claims were saying, yeah, it was hashtag too sexual. There was a hashtag going on about it saying that Tracer was too sexually posed in when she was released. And just as a quick disclaimer for everybody here, this is an opinion piece. I will be using a critical analysis. I am not personally presenting an opinion until the end, until section 3, when I break these things down. So this is not my opinion. I'm merely pointing out examples and saying, yeah, I can see why people would think that. So just in case anybody's butt hurt already, just in case, I'm not sure, but it seems like everybody's being pretty reasonable, but just in case. I don't feel like I've expressed an opinion per se on the matter. I am merely presenting arguments and giving examples of why those arguments are there, why there's sexism in the media, why we are seeing over-sexualization. These are some of the examples that I could find. In the world of comics, we saw Spider-Woman, and I can give you many other examples of why that would happen. Specifically, Joe, I'm glad you asked that question. So Joe asked, why did the person go after Tracer and not Widowmaker when they both wear skin-tight leather outfits? That's a good point. The argument was made that Widowmaker was an older character, in that she had more maturity, and that Tracer was not necessarily 18. From what I understand, from what I understand, and someone may correct me if I'm wrong, she's actually supposed to be 18. I think she is supposed to be 18 or over the age of 18. She's young, but she's over the age of 18, or she is either 18 or over the age of 18. However, they still felt that she was so young that she was a minor, and they felt it was inappropriate to depict a minor in such a way. The elongation of the legs, the focus is on her rear end, the way the straps straddle her and supposedly pan the camera right to her butt, saying that this pose is too sexual. Hashtag too sexual. So those were just some of the examples that I found when I started to study the over-sexualization process. One second, let me close this. The over-sexualization of females in the media. So we have Spider-Woman. We had all the examples that Anita Sarkeesian posed out. She talked about different ways that men and women just sit in a video game. She talked about how they walk, and how men kind of walk more stocky and standard, and they appear to exude more, I would say, power, as opposed to something drawing attention to the rear end of a character. You're not going to notice it much more on a man than you would, say, a woman, possibly, or is what her argument is. And she provided those examples, and so I've also now shown you examples of how Spider-Woman was seen to be over-sexualized, and Tracer herself was seen to be over-sexualized for Overwatch. So we have both of these examples specifically focusing on a woman's butt specifically, and whether or not, again, that is the case is what's up for debate. I am not saying that is or isn't at this moment, but that might be the case. So here's something else I wanted to show you. This is a topic that kind of came up. I think this was, I don't remember the exact date on this. So it was 2 years ago. Okay, so this was 2 years ago. I don't know how much of you guys know about this specific instance, but this was a big controversy. And what is it, Mr. Mess? This incident happened when a man by the name of, let me find his name, Matt Taylor. His name is Matt Taylor. Now, this guy is an astrophysicist who is responsible for the him and his team are responsible for landing a satellite on a comet or a meteor that was traveling I want to say 32,000 miles away from planet Earth. So it was an amazing feat of science that they were able to do all these mathematical calculations and land this moving satellite on a moving comet and sustain. The satellite did not crash. It landed perfectly, and they were able to get pictures and samples from this asteroid, meteor, or comet, or whatever it was. Now, as you can see, Matt Taylor, as depicted in this picture, he's wearing a shirt which features women and scantily clad lingerie shirt, and it was called the sexy shirt. And I think what are they called? I think they called it hashtag. There was like a hashtag for this. It became a Twitter battle, actually, and I think it was hashtag sexy shirt was the controversy behind this issue. And this man wore what many people deemed inappropriate for a podcast that was supposed to be about science and about the scientific feat of landing this satellite on a comet. And several women, I'm not sure if they were feminists or not, but I know there was a female astrophysicist, and one or two other female scientists, and then a lot of women on the Twitter community had gotten involved, saw this shirt and found it was very offensive. And they said that his shirt was over sexualizing women, that he had no business wearing it in such a professional setting, and that it was very offensive, and this is the reason why women aren't in STEM fields. STEM fields being science, technology, engineering, and medicine, I believe, is what STEM stands for. And that it's this kind of casual sexism that bars women from entering these STEM fields and makes them feel unwelcome. So, that is the case for over-sexualization. Now, I've showed some examples for you guys of kind of hypersexualization in women, and it sounds like you guys have gotten some dialogue here going between yourselves, kind of like about it, and with me about this issue. So I'm going to kind of review chat really quick while I kind of catch up on this, and I'm seeing that some of you guys had concerns about Tracer specifically, and you feel how did you guys feel? ISO, I'm seeing you said that your faith in humanity was hurt. ISO, I would love for you if you would love to. Is there anybody that would like to comment on the objectification of women in video games based on what we've seen so far? Is there anybody that would like to join the conversation, not just in chat but on voice chat? Is there anybody that would like to join me in that discussion right now? Otherwise, you can just talk in chat. That's fine. All right. See you later, Cam. Thanks for stopping in. Okay. So, Akai, thank you for doing that little bit of extra research that I didn't see. Allegedly, according, like as Akai have said, the game wiki says she's 26, so it's well beyond the age of consent. It doesn't seem like then that if that's the case, it does not appear that could be a reasonable argument being made for that specific instance. Then, in the case of Tracer and Overwatch, her butt showing in her jumpsuit. The fact that she's a minor, I don't think that would be inappropriate, because most of the information that I've seen points me in it seems to steer me in the direction that then the fact that she is in fact well over the age of consent, and it would be appropriate for her to wear such things. Okay, so let's see what ISO's saying. I notice a lot of people complain about the lack of women in the STEM fields are the ones that go straight into and take gender studies or something similar in college instead of going into STEM fields. So that's a wonderful argument to make. I'm not going to elaborate on that because what you just said plays into my critical analysis of these issues at the end. So right now, all I'm going to do is highlight specific instances of sexism that we see in the media, and then we're going to critically analyze all of those topics at the on the third part of the podcast. So we're going to get to those critical analysis. Right now, this is a presentation of the information, and I really appreciate what you said. That's a really good argument to make, and it needs to be said. Those arguments, that's a critical analysis, and we're going to talk about that, like I said, in Act 3. In Act 3. So you got to be at least 40. Yeah, a little bit of some. Depends on what kind of game. If it's kids, it's wrong, but it shouldn't matter if it's rated. And Ben, that's an excellent. Also, another very excellent observation. Something that can be I think that we can use in our critical analysis of these instances. Thank you, Prox. I appreciate that. So we're seeing Overwatch is rated 18. Okay, there you go. That is a really good example, Akai. Where do we draw the line? Is a really good. So, what is acceptable for teenagers to watch? Now, a lot of people feel that teenagers are very, very immature. I'm sure most of us in here, some of you might even be teenagers. Some of you might have teenagers, or some of you might have worked with teenagers or seen them or have interacted with them enough, and then we've all been one at one point in time. to know that teenagers can be little shits. Okay, so at what point do we say that they are mature enough to view this kind of